Okay. Should be through. Let's find out. Should be. I imagine it's still connecting. But find and see if the stream is happening. I'm just gonna wait a moment, see if it shows up, and then get everything going on. It should be going. And there we go. So it is. Why did? Oh my. I hate the new. I really hate the new streaming system because I set it up to have a different name, so I don't know why it has this old stream name title from like that was the one that I think it was after the week that everything went on a sudden break because of all the Corona stuff. That was like what 2 months ago or something. Hang on, let me change it really quick. I had to change it from what I originally planned to because I think I have Shonen in there, but I have some Senny people in there, so I gotta fix it. So let me see if it's good now. I don't know, that would have bothered the hell out of me later on. There we go. Anyway, what's up with you guys? What's up, Drop Bomb, Kidmano? How's it going? Gravity Dragon, right? How are you guys today? Let me just let me send out a couple messages. Just send out like the stream on let me just send it out in the Discord and then tweet it, and then we can get to the discussion. Get to this one. I'm gonna try my very best. I'm gonna try my very best to keep this one shorter than the last one. I'm gonna try not to rabble nearly as much as I usually do, and then I'm hoping this will only take like a good hour and a half because the last one was like 3 hours and some change. So I'm hoping this one will go quicker. Anyway, so let's get to this. Let's get to this and see if it how it all goes down. So as you guys can see the list, you can see the characters that I got going up. I hope that it's at least a set amount of characters that some people can really enjoy, and we can just hopefully understand. Just going into this, just getting started before people get mad at me, before things end up doing. Why the fuck did you put this guy here? I'm going to reiterate. I just want to make it clear. This is a personal list. I don't want anyone to get mad of, oh, I don't think this character should be. This is my personal opinion tier list. All right. Before we even get down into, before we even get further down into like specifics. All right. This is going to be personal opinions. What's up, Senpai Fruit? How's it going, man? Listen, I think it's a pretty solid list. I'm trying to not make it nearly as big as last time. The last time it was like 50-something characters, and it took like 3 hours. So I'm hoping this one doesn't go nearly as long. As I don't know. I don't want to spend 3 hours on this one. I think the last one took so long because I got so distracted, and I just did my thing where I just kind of randomly talk about. I just go on a tangent and start rambling. So we'll go to the first one. First one I think is pretty new. Chainsaw Man's only at 75 chapters in, and I want to kind of like just before we also get started is go over like some of the things I rank the characters. And there's obviously the general straight rival, like how do they interact and contend with the main character? How does this character that's being listed end up having a like chemistry with the main character, as well as stuff like design, their powers and whatnot, scenes within the series themselves. So the first one, obviously, Aki from Chainsaw Man. If you've read Chainsaw Man, I think Chainsaw Man is a really good series. Very underrated. I'm really hyped to see it start gaining some more traction outside of Japan. I know it's been doing really well in Japan, but obviously Japan and it's the biggest, I think, portion of the profits. But when it comes to like overseas, I don't think it's talked about as much, but we're getting there. Jack is in there. Jack should be in there. I'm pretty sure Jack Atlas is in there. How is he not? No, he's in there. I was going to say, I got mad last time because I didn't have you say, but so Jack is in there. Okay, you got me freaking out for a second. So, okay, so Aki is a very, like I said, very solid character. I love his design. I love how he's been written so far. And when it comes to him as a rival, his rivalry is less like it's a lot less like, oh, I'm gonna try and fight the main character and whatnot. I think his rivalry is more set on just general interactions with Denji. At the start, they had just kind of like at the start, the relationship was more just like two dudes who worked together that didn't really get along, right? There was no real like chemistry or any interactions outside of that. They just seemed to kind of be really not too fit for each other. And then after like stuff that went on with like Kameno and how everything went on in the during that arc when they went and got revenge and they went and fought all those guys, they went and fought the Snake Devil and the Katana Devil. It got into a little bit more of a serious area between them. I think Aki has a ton of potential. If you haven't read Chainsaw Man, I would highly recommend it. Aki is actually a really good character. I'm gonna put him in A for now. I thought about S, but I think right now what separates him from being an S is the fact that he doesn't have a ton of just straight like really good parts of like rival setups, rival flexes. I think he's got a lot of potential. I think he's got really good chemistry with Denji. I think that his design, his writing, and everything based around him right now is really good. I think the only thing right now that wouldn't put him in S, at least, is the fact that it's only 75 chapters in. I'm going to put him in S, but like an S minus. I'm going to put him in S minus because not only do I think that his story is really good, I have confidence in Fujimoto that he is going to pull into like a GOAT tier for me. I really like Aki. Like when it comes to Chainsaw Man, I really like Denji and I really like Aki. I think both of their characters are really solid and very standout, very unique, and very fun. And Aki's human side as well, I very much enjoy. And I think, like I said, I wanted to change it because similar to Denji, of why Denji wasn't a GOAT is just because I don't think he's got enough content right now with only 75 chapters in. But I think Aki is in that same boat. And similar to like how much I like Denji and how I know, I just got a feeling like as long as the story keeps progressing, like he's gonna eventually, in my belief, become in that GOAT list, similar to Aki for me. I don't see Aki as a rival to Denji. He's as much of a rival as he's not as much as a like, oh, you're who I'm going to compete against. He's his opposing character within the group, and the closest that we have right now. And there's a couple characters on here that don't fit as heavily into the rival category, but I think at least at the moment are set there. Maybe they'll shift and not be like a full-on rival. I mean, there's other characters that might not be the best. I put Grim in there from Radiant. I wanted one more character when I got down to it, and I was like, I'm gonna put him in there just for fun. And then you run into like Zorro. Zorro, I think, is kind of like in the same position as Aki, where he's sort of a rival. He's kind of like a pushing point for the main character, but I can see like by the end of it him not being fully a rival. I think right now he sits at a good spot where you can kind of consider him a rival, at least now. Thoughts on Magu-chan? Oh, it's interesting so far. I like it. I think it's a fun little story. I like that it's got like a slice of life that has the potential to do more. Okay, next up is Arthur. Arthur being from Fire Force. One thing I want to say about Arthur that I thought of him very early on in the story, and I think it's picking up a little recently, is that Arthur's potential as a character, I think, is interesting, but I think out of everybody here, I think he has the largest pedestal to set because it's from the author who did Soul Eater and Black Star and Kid, even with like Soul Eater is a very popular anime. I think its anime is was more mainstream than the manga. And Kid and Black Star, I think, are two very, very like impactful characters when it comes to like anime and manga. Like those two, I think specifically, are like have way bigger influences than the series itself. Like both of them are very popular, both of them are really cool. And especially like I think Black Star would be a lot more popular if more people read the manga, because obviously, like, if you've read the manga for Soul Eater, you know that it's much Like Black Star becomes much better in the manga than comparison to the anime. But Arthur has a lot of potential. I think he had a big position to fill up in being like the essentially kind of like Fire Force is equal to Black Star. I think he's pretty solid right now. I'm going to put him in B. I think he's got good potential. Pretty cool. Thoughts on Akayashi Triangle? I don't really know how I feel about it yet. I mean, so far it's just it's like a fan service series with good art. Like there doesn't seem to be a lot of plot. I don't really know what the overall kind of idea that this series is going to go for, though. I don't know. I don't have really a positive or negative opinion on it, other than it has nice art, I guess. Thoughts on Paradox Ghost Rider? I don't read it. I at least not yet. I'm gonna wait for some of the chapters to stack up. Okay, Bakugo. People are gonna get mad at me on this one. I know there's gonna be some people that very strongly agree or disagree with me. It's either gonna be one or the other. So Bakugo as an interesting character, I think so when it comes to Deku and Bakugo, I like them as individual characters. I like Deku as Deku. I like Bakugo as Bakugo. I don't like their rivalry. I think the rivalry, in a lot of ways, doesn't come off as a very realistic kind of setup. And the fact that Bakugo, I feel like Bakugo should have gotten humbled a long time ago. Bakugo was like, how many times has he had his ass saved by like Deku and other kids in his class? And then it's just like, he's going to keep being such an aggressive dude. I don't like their synergy as like personality-wise. I don't like their synergy. I know the movie came out recently, and it looks like they did some teamwork stuff, and looks like they're going to be doing some like combo teamwork in the next couple of chapters too. But I don't know how much of that rivalry is really going to be progressed when it comes to them having that role. I think Deku actually ends up pushing Bakugo more than Bakugo ends up pushing Deku. I don't know. I've never really liked their back and forth. I've never really liked them as characters. But I don't think he's a bad character, is the thing. I don't think he's a bad character. I think that Bakugo, in the long run, will be higher on my list. And I think he has a lot of potential. I think he's a lot of potential. I mean, but I will say, like, just design-wise, he's great. I love his powers. I love his design. I think his personality by itself is good. I don't like how his personality kind of like goes with Deku's when it comes to the rivalry. I don't really like how they interact very often, because I don't know, it like when you really think about it, like it's not the same like when you look at a lot of other big rivalries. It's a bully and it's a bully and the bullied, but there doesn't seem to really be any like realistic at the moment resolution with it. Like there's no like, hey, yeah, I'm sorry that I was such an asshole to you for years and literally told you to kill yourself, and like had years and years of emotional and physical like assault. And yet, I mean, they're getting along now, and Bakugo doesn't seem to be as aggressive. He seems more of just like some thuggish tsundere. But I'm gonna put him in B. I think he has potential to go higher up, though. I think he has higher potential. Thoughts on Hard-Boiled Cop and Dolphin? I don't know. It's okay so far. It's one chapter. Rex, what do you think about people that say all the time that fairy tale female character? I mean, not really. I mean, one of the things that makes them look, when you say like characters look the same, is because they're drawn, like Hiromishima's models are more set like realistically. Obviously, not in the sense of like proportions. Like not every dude is jacked, and not every chick is going to be built like that. But I mean, they're built more human. I mean, obviously, when you have a series like obviously a huge body kind of like body warping series, and I don't want to say body warping, body diversity series, and I mean that not in a like, hey, we got people of all kinds. I mean, literally, like they go into like crazy proportions. As One Piece, like I mean, I guess the One Piece females are either like really the same kind of that hot, really model-like, or really gross. But there's way more easy ones to kind of like set when you're purposely like trying to make characters look ridiculous or crazy different. But when you have characters who it's just like, yeah, they're a person, they're just a human with the different hair models and whatnot. But like you got to look at stuff like their eyes, their outfits, their personalities. I mean, they differ immensely. And when you really just look at the characters for very base surface traits, I mean, then who's the one that's in the wrong? Is it Hiroshima, who just draws characters, but he gives them lots of inner details? Or is it the person who looks at just, oh, these guys look the same, so they must be the same? That's dumb. It's way more when it comes to like the characters, who they are built through the story structure. Controversial for me, Bakugo is, yeah, Bakugo. I like Bakugo as an individual. I don't like Bakugo as a rival. Same thing. Bakugo's like Endeavor. Yeah, pretty much. Why is Zorro there? I put Zorro there because Luffy doesn't have much of a rival. The closest one I thought was Eustace, but like Eustace, there's not really anything to work with him. He's kind of like Aki in the sense that he's a character that is main character adjacent, that has like a little bit of a position where, he can push the main character, and they have a little bit of a synergy of close to rivalry, but not really. It's a little bit of a weird one, but I figured that Zorro and Aki were the closest for their respective series. I think Kid is Luffy's rival. I can kind of see that, but like Kid doesn't really do anything to kind of be Luffy's rival. He could have been, but I mean, like, what has Kid done? Nothing really. Zoro is Sanji's rival. Sanji's rival is relevancy. It's absolutely not. No. That's like saying Chad is somebody's rival in Bleach. Like, Sanji's rival is Kubo, or not Kubo. Sanji's rival is Oda, as he's like, all right, who's gonna get content this arc? And he's just like, all right, give this percentage to Luffy and give this percentage to Zoro. And Sanji's like, okay, am I gonna get some cool fights and do stuff? And Oda just looks at him like, hey, you better hope that the anime team likes you. Sanji is oh my god, yeah. Oh yeah, Zoro got there because he got lost. There you go. There's the explanation. So Bon, here we go. So Bon is a character. I wanna put this in a lot of emphasis when it comes to Seven Deadly Sins, because my complaints for Seven Deadly Sins are primarily in some of the story structure components, and then when it comes to power levels, like power level inconsistency, and when it comes to characters, personally, the characters that I had biggest beef were Meliodas when it came to fights, just because every single time that he seemed at a disadvantage, it wasn't that he got a power-up, it was that a power-up that he apparently had that just wasn't using, or like, oh, he's got some power locked up, like, Merlin's got, his power locked up with the druids, or Lost Vein, and she doesn't want to give it to him for reasons. But outside of that, I think Seven Deadly Sins' biggest, I'd say their biggest kind of things were character design. I like the character design, character design / settings, and then fights. It had a lot of good fights. Even when it came to parts that didn't make a lot of sense, you still had some pretty cool action and choreography. But I think also the third thing, which is one of the biggest things, is character interactions. I think the character interactions and the way that characters, had dialogue with each other, and the way that they came off, that you could tell they're actually close and good friends. I think that was one of Seven Deadly Sins' biggest things. And when it came to Meliodas' interactions with Elizabeth, I thought they were really good. But as well as Meliodas' interactions with Bon, I thought they were great. I thought Bon and Meliodas' friendship was very genuine. I thought it felt very organic, and I always really liked it. That was one of the things about Seven Deadly Sins I always really enjoyed, is I really enjoyed when a lot of the sins would interact with each other. And then you'd have all these crazy powerful characters, and then they'd be doing all this big stuff when it comes to like saving the country and doing all stuff. And then after that, they're just arm wrestling, and and Meliodas and Bon are having like big high five competitions and stuff. I like that. I like that a lot. That was definitely one of the things about the series I wish I saw more of. And I'm hoping that in the sequel series, because with all the sins being instead like Paragon characters, because like I said, I think when it came to power levels, the series kind of like got a little iffy. I think once it gets to like the sins are more of like the big shots, and maybe the new characters will be kind of like rising up the ranks, and all the sins will just be like legends. I mean, they were legends beforehand, but they were the main characters at the same time. And it's one of the problems I have with a lot of like Korean series when it comes to like the main cast is just too broken from the start. That's one of the things I wasn't a huge fan of. But I think Bon is solid, and as an individual character, I want to put him at A. And I think it'll only get better in the sequel series, legitimately. Like I said, I really like that about Seven Deadly Sins. And I think it will do much better things when it comes to the continuations. So, I think Bon is, like I said, Kamala, when it comes to Bon as his interactions with other characters, I think he's really good. I think Bond's interactions with Meliodas is fantastic. That's the thing I like about Bond, and I think that was really good about like his position in the story. Yeah, Uryu is like weird because Ichigo's rival has always been kind of weird, but like it's in a lot of spots I've always felt like it was Uryu, but like Uryu just never got like Uryu just never got like the proper position. Listen, Paul was a good rival, but if we're gonna go into the core, obviously for Pokemon you're gonna go Gary Oak. I mean, come on. Bond is goated. Yeah, I like Bond. I do like Bond. I think he's a good character, and I've always really liked how I've always really liked his interactions. Where's Rachel? I haven't watched Tower of God yet. And then just really quick, since I'm right here, I'd really appreciate anybody who would thumbs up the stream, hit that like button, and anybody who isn't subscribed, and then as well as any donations, any super chats or anything like that are appreciated. They are not required. And I always want to emphasize that any donations are 100% up to the user. I never want to try and pressure anything like that going on the channel. But anyway, Black Star is kind of like similar situation in my opinion to Bakugo. And the weird thing about Soul Eater is, in a lot of ways, Maka and Soul don't entirely feel like the main character set. It's always, and I think that's one of the reasons. One of the reasons behind it is the fact that the series had 3 different chapter 1s essentially, and it's really kind of like a conjoined spot between Black Star and Tsubaki. Oh, Kimono. The Mad Lad added as always with the $300 super chat. No text though. No text, man. Crazy. Anyway, thank you very much, Kimono. I was hoping you wouldn't go crazy this one, but as I've always said, I hope that you spend money on yourself and do things, buy yourself some things. But I will never tell somebody. It's always a suggestion It's always a suggestion. I think people should treat themselves, but I never want to tell people how to spend their money. It's their money for a reason. So if you want to, you can do what you want. But please buy yourself something nice, even if it's buying Peaches a hat, man. Anyway, get back to it. Yeah, thanks, man. I always appreciate your donations. I always appreciate anybody who ends up donating to the stream and to the channel. Anyway, so Black Star, I think his rivalry is better with, because if you count them all as the kind of main character, then I think his rivalry with both Maka, when it came to Maka, they had a lot of good interactions, and I think that, well, because him and Soul were more of bros, and I think his rivalry worked better with Kid. I want to put Black Star at A. I think Black Star's just really solid, and I think you gotta kind of work in the fact that I think that they are all kind of the main character and rival at the same time, but I think Black Star's had the most rival-like position, so I want to put Black Star at a good A spot. Kimono's always going crazy when it comes to super chats. Dude's a mad lad. And Kimono paying racks for those fairy tale statues. I just got 3 new ones, and I'm gonna show them when they show up in a couple months. I'll do videos on those as well. Black Star is funny. You're like a rival to Soul and Death, a kid. Yeah, I like him. I've always really liked Black Star. Well, more to Kid. Yeah. So this is the rival chart. Yes, this is the rival one we're going through. Brago. I've always loved Brago. Brago is a character, if you've never read Zatch Bell, dude is awesome. Dude's fantastic. He was such a cool character and introduced so early on too, and he just got to be that big dick energy flexing rival badass. I mean, Zatch had other rivals, like you had like Barry and stuff, and then if you wanted to work in like his brother, but I think Brago had the biggest position, and I've always really liked Brago, and he has a fantastic design. I mean, even Sherry was great. Sherry's design and Sherry's character was really good, but Brago's design, his level of aura, just that, like I said, big dick energy. Anytime he showed up on panel, his magic was badass. Like, he had gravity manipulation. It's super cool. I do buy myself nice things. I just don't have a video request, but I want to see yet, but I'll let you know when I get one. Anytime, man. Like I said, I like to take requests. I enjoy doing the videos. If people want to have like, hey, I pay for something that that you want to see. Eventually, I try and get to most things. But if you have something you really want and you want to, strong arm against my laziness, unfortunately, donations are the quickest way because Guilt is always guilt always be something that'll get me. But yeah, I appreciate it, man. Anyway, yeah, thanks. Always appreciate it. Is that Hibari there, or am I? That is Hibari Kyoya. I did put him on there. There were other people, like I said, for Hitman Reborn. There's always like ones for series, like maybe there's a couple characters. Like I put Gray on there, but you could have easily went with Gajil, but I think Gray fit more into the spot, so I went with Gray. I wanted to do one per. I wanted to do one per series. So I decided to go with Gray, like that. I decided to go with Gary Oak. I decided to go with Hibari. I wanted to go one per series, because otherwise there's going to be like 80 characters in here. It's going to go too long. I'll do Gajil on a different one. Thought on Baki. I'm not far enough in Baki to know who his rival is. I guess what, his dad? I don't know. Yeah, give some love to Hitman Reborn. Yeah, we'll get there. So next up, Chazz. Chazz Princeton was in the Japanese Manjoma Thunder. Weird name. I like Chazz a lot, and he's a character similar to Blackstar in the sense that I think that if you don't read the well, not in the manga, because the manga Chazz is different. If you only watch the dub, you aren't going to get the full Chazz experience, or I guess at that point you'd just be Manjome, as he's always calling himself. But the fourth arc for Yu-Gi-Oh! GX wasn't dubbed, so you'd have to watch it subbed. So if you only watch dubbed, you'd never find out that last part, and you never get like a really big final kind of like areas for Chazz's character. And I know I like Yu-Gi-Oh's dub names a lot. I mean, some of them I use the subs, but I really like a lot of the dub names. Can't wait till we get to Vegeta. Gonna be a bitch one. One Piece versus Natsu. Natsu runs a train on One Piece. He's got way higher power levels, way higher feats, and he's gonna just absolutely mutilate them. But Chazz is a really cool design. I want to put him at S because I think he's underrated, especially when it comes to Yu-Gi-Oh! Rivals. I think he's got a really good spot. I do want to put him at S. And I think he's underrated when it comes to, like I said, Yu-Gi-Oh! Rivals. Like, he starts out literally as just he's this arrogant, spoiled, kind of, like, rich kid. And not, like, in the way that Kaiba was. Like, Chazz was kind of, like, he was just this, like, honestly, he was kind of a piece of shit. And, I mean, really, he was. Like, when he threw Bastion's cards in the ocean. Like, he just was a bad guy. He was an asshole. And then after getting humiliated, he got kind of humbled. He started to become a lot better guy. You find out the stuff about, like, his brothers and how they treat him. And you kind of, like, get to start understanding his character and, like, his stuff with the Ojamas. I think he's a really good character. His design is fantastic, too. He's got a really interesting deck as on top of that. He's got one of the more fun decks. I think the fact that he's always reminded me of, like, I know that some people would probably pick Zane as, like, the rival to Jaden. But Chazz is, like, Zane is kind of more like raw Kaiba in a lot of ways, but he's not. He just doesn't have the same kind of like presence, I think, in the overall series. But Chazz is kind of like half Kaiba, half Joey, and I think that his deck also. I think his deck really reflects on that too. He's got a lot of silly fun cards, but he's got a lot of like badass dragons and stuff. Yeah, I really like Chazz. I think Chazz is a fantastic character. Always remember, your boy died. I'm gonna read that after this one. I meant to read it this morning. But I had a couple things I need to get done. But after the stream, I'm pretty much solid for the rest of the day. I'm going to read it. I'll post my thoughts on Twitter, and I'm probably going to be upset if you're telling me the truth and not just trolling me. But, yeah, so... Man. By the way, Baki by the way, so I'm reading Baki. I'm like 140 chapters in. I think he just beats... Oh my god, he just beat that one Yakuza dude, the teenager who is like a freaking giant. He just beat that guy. Natsu versus Kano F in the chat for the Fleet Admiral. I mean, yeah, Natsu would mutilate him. One thing that people would probably not think about is Natsu should be able to eat the heat off of lava because he's done it off of molten steel. He just would have to pretty much spit out the, he would pretty much just have to spit out the lava. He'd have to pretty much just spit rocks. Because he did that with the Vulcan. He ate molten metal and then spit out the molten metal, and it was pretty much a bullet at that point. But yeah, so... Let me get to the next one. Wait, it's not too universal for burning Zero's infinite dimension. Well, we don't know if Zero's dimension was infinite. We just know it was a pocket dimension. And you can't count the Zero one oddly enough because in the canon for that fight, he didn't get trapped inside of Genesis Zero. What canonically happened is before its effect, like before he got trapped in the dimension, he burnt it. But because of the Starry Sky arc being canon, we know what it does, and he did relatively the same thing in the Starry Sky arc, just at a higher degree. So he still would break it. We don't know if it's an infinite dimension. It just is a pocket dimension of sorts. 5% African gene type beat. What is that? I don't even know what that means. I was thinking about like I'll bring a joke up I have in a different stream. I've been thinking about like Mad Max Apocalypse and my plans of if the world ever goes crazy. Well, the world is crazy. If the world ever goes that crazy, my schemes. Let me see. Least favorite Shonen Jump series. Right now, I mean anything that gets canceled. Do you mean like right now running in Shonen Jump or just in total? Because in total, I'd have to like look over a lot of stuff. But I mean right now, out of the things that I read, I don't know. Probably get mad at me, but it's probably One Piece. I'm not too hyped right now into One Piece. Like I'll at least in the ones I read. I'm not a huge One Piece guy. My One Piece opinion is like I'm a very casual One Piece reader. I was bummed about Guardian of the Witch. I was really interested to see where things went, but I don't know. Like my One Piece reading is very casual. Like I'm confident that I know more about One Piece than I do about My Hero Academia. But I like what My Hero Academia is doing right now more than what I like, or more than what One Piece is doing right now. Plus, Ulti got like completely one shot last chapter, and I was upset. That's a short. I'm gonna short rant. I'm slightly upset about that because when we found out it was the Flying Six, I saw their designs and I like Page One's hybrid design. I thought his hybrid design is really cool. But then like I saw like the Flying Six and I was like, I don't really know about these guys. But I liked Ulti, and then her design, I like her kind of like going into her form. I like the like horns on her, and she's got like the dino claws. I didn't like when she was going more into it, but I very rarely do I like the full animal designs in One Piece. But I got mad that she got beaten because I was like, sweet, a character that I like, and then beaten 10 seconds later. I was very bummed about that. Damn it. Oh, the universal thing. We don't need to go off about that. What about Natsu burning? What about Zeref Infinite Magic? So there's just really quick. There's two roads for that. I have my wanked power levels when people decide to go too crazy and they go into absurd power levels that I don't agree with, and then what I have to agree with. So it's two different things. But anyway, do I like Red Eyes Black Dragon? Hell yeah, I love Red Eyes Black Dragon. One day Red Eyes Black Dragon is going to get some damn lore. Thoughts on Cinder? Well, I'm gonna get there when I get there, and it's not gonna be the best. What's up, Zeb Nolan? How's it going? Anyway, let's see. Anyway, I gotta get back to it. Latest My Hero was amazing. I thought it was pretty good. Yeah, Ulti was cool, but Yamato is Kaido's son, so he's supposed to be powerful. I get that. I understood fully. Like, I didn't think it made no sense. It was just like, damn it. That was a character I was actually really hyped for. It's kind of like I've gotten into an argument recently with people about God Serena, and I guess that's more of what I can see with God Serena is people, anyone who was individually hyped for him that liked his character and liked what he was like all set up with, and then to see him get completely mauled by Acnologia. I think he got a little bit more of a display, more than Ulti, but still, you know what I mean? It's unfortunate when it comes to Ulti. But let's put Cinder. So I'm gonna do my best to do the near the mic without it being too loud. I don't know if you guys could hear that clap, but I'm rubbing my hands together. Best fire starter. I've always really liked Cyndaquil. I love Cyndaquil. I love Cyndaquil, Quilava, and Typhlosion. I really am hoping they get Mega Evolution to Gen 2. The Gen 2 games are probably my favorite, and then my favorite Pokemon Gen itself. Like the Gen 2 games themselves, I think they're the best ones. But I think my favorite Gen is I think it's Gen 5. Is that Volcaronas? Because there's a lot of Pokemon in there that I would list as my favorites in that Gen. I think it's Gen 5. Yeah. I think it says that's is that Black and White? I think so. Man, I'm slacking right now. I'm trying to think. But yeah, anyway, Cinder Fall. Okay. Wait, who do you think the strongest in the Flying Six? I don't know. I have no idea. Absolutely zero idea. Okay. Thought on Gen 8? I think Gen 8's good. I like that game. Funny enough though, I still haven't beat the Elite Four. I've been sitting waiting to do the Elite Four for months. Every single time that I try and get back to this is it? Oh God, it's Sword and Shield. I almost said Sun and Moon. Every single time I try and get back to Sword and Shield, there's a different game that I get rehooked on, or a new game that I want to play. But it's Pokemon. I can sit there forever, and it's not like I'm playing competitively. That one will be sitting there forever for me to eventually beat. But anyway, Cinder Fall. Okay. This is a character who, I love the design for Cinder Fall. I love her design. I think she has a really interesting design. Up into Volume 1 introduced, we didn't get a lot about her. She was kind of more as like this hinted at character. She was a little bit more mysterious. We see her back in Chapter 1 when she fights Glenda Goodwitch. We see like her at the end of the volume when Roman goes. I think it's the end of Volume 1 when Roman goes and meets up with her. We see her in Volume 2 a little bit, like she's what did she do? In Volume 2 was I think when she messed around at the dance and she was like wearing her mask, and then RWBY confronted her. Volume 3, she's active, she's interesting. She ends up like getting the power up. She kills Pyrrha, and then she ends up like getting hurt from RWBY. Volume 4, Volume 4. I'm very intrigued with her character. You see, she's got like her messed up throat. She's like got like the thing with her arm. She's like, you see that whole part where, she's like training, and like, Emerald makes the illusion of RWBY, and she's like pissed off. Like, you see how much she just like wants to kill her. Like, you can see the want for revenge deep within her head, like deep seated in her mind. And we know from the flashback, was it Volume 3 with the flashback? I think when we, I don't remember exactly the flashback, when we saw like she met Emerald and Mercury, and we know that like she wants to be powerful, she wants to be feared. She has a very deep-rooted villain, kind of like very old-style villain kind of setup. Like Salem's is I think Salem's backstory is really good. I like that Cinder, it was built up as this very just raw villain. She's somebody who is just evil, and I think that's one of the things that makes her the rival for RWBY, because RWBY just has that pure-hearted, real good, just good to be good kind of character. Obviously, she's not just like, oh, I'm pure of heart kind of, but they'll want to be good, because you have the character who just wanted to be a hero and the character who just wanted to be a villain. And like I said, Volume 4, really interested. And then comes Volume 5. They meet up at the end of Volume 5. She can talk normally. There's like all of the repercussions from Volume 3 and built up in Volume 4 out the window. She's in the same room with RWBY, and she ignores her. She goes for Weiss. Why? Why does she go for Weiss? Why doesn't she not go for RWBY? Her character, like RWBY's writing has fallen apart, I think, very heavily since Volume 4. I think Volume 4 was alright. I think it was a nice kind of like aftermath of Volume 3. And it's unfortunate to say, but I think after Monty died, I think that there hasn't been nearly as much of an overall creative idea and plan. And it's a little mean to say, but I mean, it's true. I think once Monty had a very good idea of what he wanted to do with the series, and then once he, the unfortunate tragedy of his death, and then you have the guys on it right now, and I think that they just don't have a big vision of what was to happen, because like I said, they had something going on with Cinder, and then it's just out the window. It was very stupid. I thought that was very poor. And then what is the point of her character now? Because it's not like, because like Volumes 1 through 4 we're going somewhere with her. We find out about her. She has like this parallel to RWBY. She gets what she wanted almost fully. She's got like half of it in Volume 3. I don't think she got like the full Fall Maiden, which is funny. I really wish they would mess with some of the names more. Like, you have the Winter Maiden. You have a character named Winter. You have Cinder Fall. You have the Fall Maiden. I know the maidens were originally not planned. I know the brothers were planned from the start. I really wish that they didn't do I wish they didn't have the maidens be named after the seasons like this. Just because, or at least they didn't have characters named after the seasons, so you didn't have this annoying kind of name issue. I mean, sometimes series will have characters with very similar names, like Fairy Tail has Org and Orga, and I'm sure I can find, like, Gajil and Agil. But when you have specific things, like, hey, we have the Winter Maiden and Winter, we have Cinder Fall, who's got the Fall Maiden powers, it just, I don't know, I thought that was, it's not a bad thing, it's just, like, kind of one of those, man, I wish you planned this out better. But, yeah, Cinder as a character, like, fell apart. I'm gonna put her in the D. Because it's not like Volume 4. Like, it's like, man, we're this in and it's going somewhere. 3 volumes since then, and it's like, what has her character done? Nothing. She's barely done anything. The series has been going on for 7 volumes. And Cinder's character, like, after Volume 4, it's like, the plan went away. What's the idea with her? What is going on with her? It's stupid. Her character sucks. It had such potential. Maybe they can save her in future volumes, but I don't know. Since volume 4, I think RWBY's been really falling apart. Yeah, Cinder has fallen. It's been really unfortunate, and it makes me. I'm not happy to do it because, like I said, I like her design. I like the initial idea they had. I like her powers, but that's not enough to put her in anything. If she had a bad design, I would have put a D or an F in here just for her. I would have put an F in there for her character, and it sucks because is she the only female rival I have in here? Yeah, that's unfortunate. I should have probably looked for a second female rival that's quality, but man, she is just an unfortunate case. She's a very unfortunate case for Cinder. I don't know. I mean, does anybody really like her anymore? Like I said, good design. If you just watch up to volume 4, it's like, man, she's got a lot of potential, but I don't know. After that, it just was shitty. Crowe. Senji, also known as Crowe from Dead Man Wonderland. I really like Crowe. I think he's a super solid character. He kind of was like in a little bit of a weird spot between like rival and mentor to Ganta, but I figured I'd put him in there because, especially also out of everybody in the series, I probably remember him the most. I always really liked Crowe. He's got one of the most badass powers, because all of them, if you've never read Dead Man Wonderland, they all have blood-based powers, but his is the Crow Claw, which are like these sick crescent blades that come off his forearms. Yeah, he lost an eye, so he's got this sick eye patch. He's got a really good backstory. I loved Crowe. Rec confirmed woman hater. No, I mean, there's a lot of really good women in RWBY. I mean, well, some of them are really falling off. Winter was actually one of the things that I really liked about Volume 7. I actually really liked that. It actually doesn't make my case very well when if you watched my reviews of Volume 7, I fucking hate Robin Hill. That character was so annoying. And they were trying to make her out like Robin Hood, but she was a terrorist. She was a terrorist. And plus the obvious Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton like reference in there for their election run was so annoying. So annoying. I was just like, man, it's been 4 years. Can we stop? Like, I don't care if you like Donald Trump or if you don't like him, if you're left or right or what, but please don't insert such obvious and especially recent politics and like escapism. That I don't like. Like, I can see ideas. I can see, the Bumblebee needed to die. It needs to just not happen. It'll be a waste. I got to rant again because RWBY's been really upsetting me. I've been following RWBY since the first trailer came out. I remember when it happened. I was a senior in high school. I was sitting in shop because I didn't take shop class until my junior year. I wanted to take easy classes my freshman year, so I took home ec. And then so my junior year, I took shop 1, and then I took shop 2 my senior year, which is a really good idea because one of my friends was the class aides. So it was a lot of bullshitting around. So I'm sitting in there and I see the trailer come out. And I watched it, and I was like, this looks really cool. This is like an American-made anime. This looks really fascinating. So I've been following it since then, and I remember, like, the day, like, each of the other trailers came out, I was so hyped, and then, like, the series came out. I liked Volume 1. I liked Volume 2 is a little bit I loved Volume 3. Volume 3 was great. And then Volume 4 happened. Thought Volume 4 was solid. Volume 5 was kind of shaky. Volume 6 was... I think Volume 6 was overall good, but Volume 7, man, I hated it. Volume 7 had some good parts, but overall I hated it. It's like Seven Deadly Sins, I think, has like the second half of the third arc is where a majority of my problems in Seven Deadly Sins happened. But overall, the overall series of Seven Deadly Sins, I really liked. I really liked the overall series. RWBY manga is good though. I got to read more of it. I think they probably have less of an annoying agenda, because the thing that I don't like about the whole Bumblebee pairing for Yang and Blake is it's pandering. If it happens, it's so obvious that they're doing it for shippers, which is just I don't like the idea of doing a ship clearly for like, hey, it's popular. If characters have a relationship, I want it to feel organic. Otherwise, it just feels cringy. It'll feel like a fan fiction. Because that's one of the things about fan fictions is they'll be like, I had this dude who, I was friends with this guy, but he was a really fun guy to talk to because he was a big nerd and he was he liked to bullshit a lot too. There are two things. He liked My Little Pony and he would talk about My Little Pony a lot. I'm like, listen, I don't mind if you like My Little Pony, but I don't want to talk about it. I had to tell him so many times, I don't want to ever hear you talk about My Little Pony. You can talk about it, but not to me because I'm not going to enjoy the conversation. I'm not going to contribute anything to this. And then he would do fan fiction for RWBY, and it would be like, it'd be obvious pairings just for the sake of like, oh, these characters are lesbians now. It's just like, it's dumb. You're just making fat material. But the easiest way I can describe why Bumblebee will make absolutely zero sense from the story writing standpoint is, then what's the point of Sun? Sun spent 4.5 volumes, like, between, or Sun and Blake spent 4.5 volumes on their relationship. There was a long-going whole thing between Blake, how she has her affections, her lingering affections for Adam. She has this guy who she had a thing for, but she knows that he's not good for her. He's dangerous, and he is emotionally manipulative, and he's also physically abusive and stuff. He's a dangerous guy. And then you have Sun, who is a very nice, honest dude. This is a good guy, and she's conflicted about her feelings towards these characters. And legitimately, there's a whole arc and some change where Sun is winning over the approval of her dad. It'll be so stupid if they just make Blake and Yang lesbians just cause ships. It's stupid. It's such a dumb idea, and it's such a lazy writing piece. I don't care if two characters are gay or what, as long as it's either, hey, they're introduced like this is how the characters are, or it makes sense. If the characters are revealed, like when we found out Freed was gay, I was like, actually, yeah, that makes sense. Freed's like obsessive, like affections for Laxus. He never really seemed to take any interest in anyone besides Laxus. He never seemed to kind of like have any hype towards girls. And then we found out he was gay, and it's like, yeah, makes sense. Fine. Kyoka and Salo were straight lesbian demons. It's like, okay, that's fine. But if they just make Blake and Yang lesbians for the sake of shipping, not only is I think that's pandering, but it throws all this story writing out the window, which I think will be dumb. Didn't Bumblebee already happen? It's being hinted at. And that's the thing. I was just like, I'll get really annoyed. I'll get super annoyed because then what's the point of Sun's character? What is the point of Sun's character if Blake hooks up with Yang? What is it? And then, oh my god, they ruined Adam. They ruined Adam's character. That pissed me off so much. I loved Adam's character. He was such an interesting bad guy, and yet they've ruined him. They ruined him at the end of volume. They humiliated him at the end of volume 5, where he ran away from fodder. He ran away from a bunch of nameless characters. Not only should he be able to one-shot each of them all at once, but he had frickin' Hazel with him. They could have ran a train on these guys. Yeah, the Bumblebee ship is stupid. It's dumb. It's like if they start pushing Weiss and RWBY when Weiss has clearly shown that she's into dudes, and Yang showed she was into dudes. All of them, except for RWBY, has shown that they're into dudes. I mean, they could be bi, but like none of them have shown that. And that wasn't 4.5 volumes of build-up for Blake just to have her switch with up to Yang. Anyway, I don't want to ramble on more. I'm getting annoyed because you can tell it's such a dumb idea from a story writing standpoint. This would be like if all the way up until now, and then Hiroshima just was like, you know what, I think I am going to just put Natsu with Lizana. I think I'm going to do that. It's like, you had a chance to do something with them. No. You had to even, I mean, it was obvious he was going to with Lucy, but you didn't even have a chance to build any relationship stuff with him. Lizana could come back. It'd be different if Lizana started to try and make moves, but like Natsu having any lingering feelings for her at this point would make no real sense. The writer's rage. I know. It's such a dumb idea. Like I wish that I could do like a manga. I can't draw, but like I have like an amateur level of writing. I think I could be an amateur writer if I really put in the time. So seeing a professional completely throw away that much story and build up and time and effort just to appease ships is so dumb. Becoming a lesbian is not a joke. I don't think that either, but it doesn't make sense to just completely write off like all this story build up purely to suddenly make two characters a ship because it's a popular thing amongst the fandom. I think that's dumb. I think that's dumb. I haven't read Saint Seiya or watched it yet. It's on my list. One of my friends is a Saint Seiya fan. He's been wanting me to read it forever. Anyway, let me get back to it. So Crowe, super solid. I've always really liked Crowe. I think he's a really good character. I'm going to put him in a good B. He's like a B+. He's a good B+. Okay, this is going to be a quick and easy one. Declan, Akaba. I didn't include the newest Yu-Gi-Oh! Rival. I didn't include Rook. He's in a weird spot. I'm wondering if Rook is even going to be the rival, because there was a different guy hinted, and wondering if Rook is kind of going to be either the rival or kind of like the Joey kind of position, kind of like the right hand, you know, like Soulburner, Chazz, Crowe, and stuff. But out of the six, Declan is out of the six full through, out of original GX, 5Ds, Zexal, Arc 5, and or Brains, or Arc 5 and Brains. Declan is my least favorite. I think Declan has an interesting design, but like his deck is boring. His character is pretty boring. I never really liked Declan very much. I always thought he was meh. Deadman Wonderland was good. Yeah, Deadman Wonderland is awesome. I do love Deadman Wonderland. Oh my god. Wait, hang on. What is this? Someone attacked an Adam cosplayer? Remember the time Bumblebee fans? Did they really? I never heard anything about that. Like, they physically attacked him or just yelled at him? I mean, let's be real. Bumblebee fans, they're not going to physically attack. They're going to shout stuff, and then they're going to, like, post stuff on their Instagram and be annoying. Unless well, they might do, like, slaps and, like, throw stuff. Absolute classic is up next. Hell yeah, an absolute classic. Gary Oak. I'll emphasize why I'm going to put him in the spot that he's going to put him. Gary Oak is one of the staple rivals, I think, in modern day, like, I guess not modern, in a previous generation of fiction. And I don't mean that as like, Gary Oak's writing is amazing. It's because when you think about the rival, what is the rival in the base root of it? It's the thing that makes the main character, drive forward. It's the thing that motivates them in some way or another. It doesn't have to straight be like, haha, I'm going to surpass you. It could, in some way, this character that they are competing against, or, you know, their interactions, or in some way that it is their adversary in whatever they're doing, without it being straight. It doesn't always have to be straight, like, to the death kind of bad situation, good and bad, or it could be more of a friendly rivalry. But yeah, Ash sucks. Gary Oak not only was one step above Ash every single time, it wasn't like, okay, cool, I got my third Pokemon. How many do you have, Gary? It wasn't Gary's like, I've got 4. I've already evolved one of my Pokemon. It was like, I've got 45. And not only that, like, do you remember when Ash caught Krabby, and then you saw Ash's Krabby compared to Gary's Krabby? Gary's Krabby was gigantic. It was fucking huge. It's so weird to me that Kingler wasn't, like, the main staple of his team, considering his Krabby was so big, his Kingler would be like the size of a damn couch. That thing was freaking huge. I mean, I don't think his character was bad. I can't think of anything about Gary Oak's character that was, like, badly written. I think that he just wasn't, he wasn't like a deep rival. He wasn't someone like, where they're constantly, like, having some, like, mirrored parallels between each other or anything immense. I think he just is like he is the raw meaning to a rival. He is somebody who is constantly sticking it to the main character and pissing him off and really just giving him the business. And it's because of that, I'm going to put him at S. I think he legitimately deserves S. If he had better character writing, I would have put him at GOAT. If he was still going, like, if Pokemon, like, tried to do, like, what they did with Paul, I'd probably put it, like, if you took aspects of Paul and put him into Gary, he would have been GOAT. He would have been up there. Like, Paul is really cool, but Paul is only a one arc, enemy, and he doesn't have the same overall kind of flex that Gary had. Gary is, he went to go be a professor, like, Professor Oak, right? Reggie's a great rival on his own, but he didn't become a rival. B tier is enough. Oh, yeah. I don't think so. I don't really care for him. I thought he was lame. when it comes, and yeah, I know Reiji, Declan, as I always go with Yu-Gi-Oh dubs for the most part. When it comes to him, I don't know. I like Rook. Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens is like not even what 10 episodes in. I can't remember the exact episode number off the top of my head. I think I'm one episode behind actually. But I already like him more than Declan. I think he's more interesting. I don't really like Declan. Paul is the purest opposite of Ash. Yeah, but the thing about Paul is that Paul is like Gary if Gary was more of an asshole, but he didn't have the same level of rival flex that Gary had. If you combined Paul and Gary, they'd be an amazing rival. You would have just all around like the end opposite of the main character. You would have him always just humiliate him and flex every time. Like Gary had 10 gym badges before he went to the Pokemon League. He had 10 gym badges. The only time that Gary ever, like, we had a part where Gary was just like, yeah, I got fucked up, was because it was at the point where Giovanni had freaking Mewtwo. Any other time, like, Gary was so much of a rival over Ash. He was his rival for 3 different seasons. He didn't beat him until Hoenn. Like, outside of him, like, I don't think any of the other Pokemon rivals last more than a season now. But Gary lasted 3, and before he went out, like, we got that cool, like, the half Pokeball thing with him. And then he's like, afterwards, instead of just like, I've been defeated, I can't do anything more. He was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna find a different calling. And he went after his grandfather. The being beaten humbled him, and I liked that. That's something I wish Bakugo had. Anyway, yeah, Paul's pretty good. Paul never gave up that Infernape, man. So Paul pushed Ash further than Gary pushed Ash. I don't know, man. I think Gary had such more of a, I mean, Gary literally wrote on signs. Gary took the time out of his day to scribe into signs to mock Ash, knowing he's going to be there after him. He had a cheerleading squad, a butler, and a car to go to town while Ash's bitch ass walked on foot. Keep that in mind. Is Sasuke not there? No, Sasuke's there. Sasuke's in there. Anyway, let's move on. Gray Fullbuster. Gray is similar as I talk about. He's not as much of a he's not a hard rival. Someone who's constantly like, the main character and his rival. Every single 5 seconds they're competing. Gray has that rival main character, but Gray and Natsu are more like bud rivals, which I really like. I like their relationship. I like their dynamic. I like their powers are even opposite to each other. You have a close quarters combat fire user against a ranged ice user. And just the way, Natsu's a fiery kind of dude. Gray is more calm, cool, and collected a lot of the time. I love Gray's design. I love his story. I think that Gray has one of these best going potentials, especially with like what's going on with his personal story right now. And if my theory that Gray will have to get stronger to help quell Natsu down, that'll put him way higher on the list. Is Gary really a rival? Wait, is Lobelia Rebecca's Gary? I mean, sorta, but like Rebecca is more of a like. I mean, she just mostly pulls pranks on her. I mean, the difference, it's like Lobelia is like a soft Gary. Gary is Lobelia on fucking steroids. I've also done with Tenka's complete character description. That's good. Keep working hard, man. Yeah, Sasuke's in there. Paul versus Ash and his Infernape was GOAT. Yeah, the fact Ash doesn't use that Infernape more is really weird. Ash, Charizard, and Infernape are super broken. Like, Charizard has literally fought legendaries. So weird. Yeah, Gray is the closest thing really to a rival Natsu has. I think that he is really the rival, and the fact that he has very opposing aspects to him that Natsu has, and as well as really when it comes down to it. I mean, like, look how it went down in the Alvarez arc when Natsu and Gray were fighting. It's very obvious when it comes to Mishima who the rival of the main character really is, because then you have like you have Musica, you have Wise, you have Gray, but then you also have kind of that like more badass guy who joins later. You have Let, you have Gajil, you have Jin. He definitely keeps of that set, but makes their characters so much different. Gray, I really like Gray. I'm gonna put Gray as an S. Gray, out of all my S ones, Gray has the highest potential right now to become GOAT. Because the only thing really that's preventing Gray from becoming GOAT is he hasn't got a lot of big spotlight in a while. And I think that if he can get a couple more really big parts in 100 Years Quest, I think he'll fully push himself up to that top tier. Say Urza's Natsu's rival? No, Urza's not Natsu's rival. I mean, Urza straight said that listen, Urza believed Natsu would surpass her back in Phantom Lord. And then when Natsu did surpass her, like right after, right at the start of the Alvarez arc when they were dealing with Avatar, and Natsu took down Ikusa Tsunagi, it was very obvious that Urza realized that Natsu was above her. And I would never say Urza was Natsu's rival. No. I mean, even when you look at Alvarez, like Urza was much weaker than Gray and Natsu during Alvarez. When Natsu and Gray were fighting, I've said this before because I've talked to people about this. Urza took more damage from blocking one attack from each of them than Natsu and Gray took in total from the other one. If you go back and look, Natsu and Gray took, like they were damaged. They had some battle damage, but Urza's, like, out of all the attacks Gray took, Gray didn't have serious burns like Urza did, and all the attacks Natsu took, he didn't have like serious frozen damage that Urza had. Urza was not even close to where. I don't want to say not even close. Urza was below Natsu and Gray at the time, and I still think that she's weaker than them now. I think Natsu and Gray are both stronger than Urza now. Of course, Gray's S. Yeah, I love Rachel. I think Gray's a really good character. I'm sure Natsu surpassed Urza and Tartarus. Well, Natsu surpassed her with Dragon Force, but he didn't have control over Dragon Force at the time. Tartarus is the first time that he went to Dragon Force on his own. Even though it was like a rage boost, it was still the first time he did it on his own. And then after in Alvarez, we knew that he could do it on his own. Versus Media Feats begs to differ. I mean, but look at Gray. Gray has Lost Aspect. If it came down to it, Gray drops Lost Aspect and takes Urza out. Easy. 100%. Urza is strong. There's no chance, and I have absolutely zero belief that Urza would be able to take down Gray if he busts out Lost Aspect at all. At all. Gray is not weaker than Mira Jane. Absolutely not. Mira Jane has not a single feat to compete with Gray. Gray and them only hold Mira Jane up to a standard because they grew up together. It's the same way as anytime you have like Naruto being intimidated by Sakura. It's done more silly and more character-wise. It's not power level-wise. Natsu running from Urza, like when he drew on her at the end of the like in that in-between point, right after the part with Mer's phobia, he wouldn't have to actually be afraid of her. Natsu's way more powerful than her. If Natsu dropped Dragon Force, Urza's done. Out like a light. Gray is not weaker than Mira Jane. That is ridiculous. Because not only is he stronger, his power straight counters hers. Her power straight stems from demon powers. Gray has demon slaying. Gray would absolutely walk over her so easily, it's not even funny. Gray ran through Invul. Mira Jane barely managed to scrape past a Spriggan who was nerfing himself on both a combat standpoint and a power standpoint, who was designed more for stealth than anything else. And he was still recovering from the fight with that he got taken down by Natsu, whereas Invul was at full power and full strength. Mira Jane isn't fodder. She is compared to Gray, but yeah, Mira Jane is in no way close to Gray. It's absolutely nowhere close. You notice how there's nobody in the GOAT yet. I already know on this list. Because next up, we got Mira Jane is not top 3. Mira Jane's not even top 10. Mira Jane, I don't even think she's top 10 at this point. Because let me count real quick. In the guild, you still have Natsu, Guild Arts, Urza. I think Lucy and magical power stronger through. In a straight fight, Mira versus Lucy, I think Lucy would come on top. I 100% do. 100%. If you took them seriously and not Lucy being intimidated, then yeah, Lucy's definitely got a larger arsenal. We know Mira Jane can't spam her Satan Soul forms, and I mean, really, what's she gonna do once Lucy starts busting out bigger stuff? Incorrect. Lucy, I would say Lucy, I think is stronger than Mira. I do. Maybe not in straight damage output, but I think in terms of like magical power and like what she's capable of, I'd put Lucy above her. Lucy's got a very high level of capability. I mean, plus, really, if you wanted to, can't Mira just control Lucy? As we've seen, her macro only works on fodder. Her macro only works on fodder characters. Physical strength, I mean, yeah. When you want to look at stuff like that, because Lucy isn't somebody who is like high damage output. Lucy is high magical power supply and then utility. Mira human control is very limited. She's only shown to control fodder. She's not. It's like Conqueror's Hockey in One Piece. I mean, like most of the characters can only do it against fodder. The only character, because I don't think any characters have really been affected heavily outside of when you had Whitebeards and Shanks's one's topic. Anyway, yeah, I got off topic, but yeah, Lucy. Let me think real quick. Guildarts, Urza, Laxus, Gray. I think Wendy's stronger than Mira Jane. Yeah, Mira Jane is not even close. How is Elfman compared to top tiers? Man, listen. I want to get back on topic, and I don't mean that in a mean way, but I know for a fact I will rant about Elfman because I've ranted about Elfman before. In fact, I ranted about Elfman yesterday when I was talking to somebody. Anyway, let me get back to it. GOAT, the GOAT tier. There's only a few people in this whole list, and a few rivals who I would really put strongly in the GOAT tier. And one of them, bam, Griffith. No argument. Beautiful design, beautiful influence, huge character, massive influence in this series, like godlike presence. Griffith is fantastic. Griffith is absolutely beautiful in both writing and character, and how much he is so mirrored of Guts. It's incredible. Griffith is a fantastic character. I absolutely love Griffith, and I would put him directly in that GOAT tier. I think anything below GOAT for Griffith would be absolutely insulting. Yeah, Griffith is fantastic. You need to read Berserk. Griffith is fantastic. Just like Fairy Tail and Q&A type stream sometime later. I mean, that any normal stream. Any of my normal streams would just be like that. It would just be conversations. But this is obviously a tier list stream. We'll do a normal conversation stream next week. Next week we'll do... Oh, next week's 4th of July. We might do next week's stream on Friday. Now that I think about it. Because I completely forgot next week. Next week's Saturday is 4th of July. Yeah, Femto. I mean, sort of. But you know, it's a name. He's still Griffith. He just was reborn. Stop. Griffith. Come on. Griffith is best villain right next to Dio. Griffith is definitely one of my favorites. I get the hype. Dio, I know Dio's hype. I like Griffith way more than Dio. There's definitely more villains I like more. Like, I like Zeref way more than Dio, but Griffith is definitely in that tier for me. But Griffith is kind of both rival and villain. Is Wendy one of the strongest? Wendy's definitely one of the strongest in the guild. Wendy is just really high potential, and I'm really looking forward to seeing her further utilize it. I'm expecting her Dragon Force to be progressed during the 100 Years quest at some point for it to get a little higher. But I think her enchants are the main thing she needs to push. You should have done Boruto for Boruto's dance rifle. No. I thought about doing somebody Boruto, but I'm like, who would I even put in here? Kawaki? I don't know. I don't really have much of a strong negative or positive opinion on Kawaki. Wendy almost lost to Blue Note. That was way back. That was at the start of Alvarez. But Wendy's biggest thing isn't straight damage output. Wendy's biggest thing is utility and effect. But Wendy is way more powerful now, and now she's got Irene to teach her stuff. Why does Natsu get so much disrespect? He's the strongest in the guild. Natsu is so. Let me just really quick. When it comes to the strongest in the Fairy Tail Guild, I'd say generally overall, I'd put Guildarts. Natsu with Dragon Force and Savage Dragonfire, I'd put higher than Guildarts. But obviously, it's not something he stays in. Once he enters them, obviously, Savage Dragonfire, he goes in it. Every second those fires, his flames are touching him, they're destroying his body. And Dragon Force, it's a very short burst. Because Natsu doesn't use his Dragon Force conservatively. He goes all out once he jumps into it. And I would say the strongest right now in the guild is dependent on Guildarts in base, stronger. And Guildarts doesn't have a power-up for him, at least that we know of. I don't think he has one. Maybe he develops one or he's going to get one. But Guildarts, I think if you just put him and Natsu against each other in base, I think Guildarts would be stronger. If you put no rules, like no restrictions, I think Natsu and Dragon Force take Guildarts out. People can handle Natsu surpassing Guildarts. Yeah, Natsu with Dragon Force is definitely stronger than Guildarts, 100%. You should have done Boruto's rival as filler. Pretty much. Anyway, let me get back to this. Grim. So when I mentioned at the start, I had like when the size of the folder I had when I was looking at how many people, it was one less from being symmetrical of 2 full rows. So I was like, I need to figure out someone. And I looked over and I have a couple volumes of Radiant, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna put Grim on there. I'm pretty sure he's Seth's rival. I need to get caught up. I think put him on here though. I need to get caught up. I'm gonna put him on B on design alone. Design and powers. I think his powers are really cool. I really want to get caught up in Radiant. I've just been lazy. Hibari Kyoya. Hibari Kyoya. I'm in a weird spot with Hibari. Because Hibari, I like Hibari, I don't love Hibari. I thought his character was interesting, but I don't know. I'm trying to really think right now of just like my overall position on Hibari. I thought he was a cool character. He's one of the ones you can tell, because you could tell he was the author's favorite. He was absolutely her favorite. She definitely loved Hibari. I was Aki Denji's rival. I explained earlier, it's like a weird sort of rival spot, not really, but it's the closest thing I think they had to a rival for Denji, at least at the moment. Maybe the Gun Devil like will end up being like really his rival. I don't know, but I think Aki is the best spot now for him. I'm gonna put Hibari. I'm going to put him at like a solid B. I think he's like a good solid B, maybe B+, because he's got a really good design. I think he's an interesting character. He's got cool powers. He does have a really good, I like his adult version of like, he does respect Suna as a leader, even though he still has that high thought of himself. I like that about him. I think he's pretty good. What manga is Hibari from? Hitman Reborn. Yeah, I'm a little bit mixed on Hibari. I think Hibari is a character that the series went on longer. I mean, it was pretty long. I mean, it was like 300 something. But I think Hibari was like a spot where he wasn't as front and center as like Goku Dara was, but he would show up, but he was always so strong that he would need to be used in a little bit more of a light fashion, so he didn't just run through all his opponents. I do like Yuno's. Get the fuck out of here. Hiei. Hiei. People are gonna get mad at me. I like Hiei. I like his design. I'm not a huge fan as him as a kind of like an kind of like a rival, kind of like adversary to Yusuke. I don't think he's bad. I don't think he's bad in any way. I'm gonna put him A. Because I do think he's a good character. I think his design is good. I do think he has good interactions with Yusuke. I think he's got some really good parts where they have really good synergy. I've never understood the hype for Hiei outside of like he's got design and he's got some pretty raw scenes. But I don't know. I was never a big fan of him. I do like him, but I know there's some people that really like Hiei that are going to get mad for him, but I'll make it up for him in a moment. Jack Atlas. The man, the king of speed, the king of writing duels, master faster, Jack Atlas. Jack Atlas, no argument. S class. He's an S tier rival. Jack Atlas is damn fantastic. Jack Atlas is both a great rival. He's a great piece of like how he goes into the story at the start. Oh, 1 second, I accidentally pressed spacebar. He's a fantastic at where he's in the series and where he kind of goes within the setup for the whole story for Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. I really like Jack Atlas. I think Jack Atlas in design, he's got a fantastic deck. Oh my god, I'm going too high up now. Let me fix this. Put spacebar. Anyway, there we go. Anyway, Jack Atlas is such a solid character in the way that he's used, and I think Yu-Gi-Oh! Definitely has some of the best rivals, in my opinion. Yu-Gi-Oh! Has some of the best rivals when it comes to series, especially for a singular franchise. I think Yu-Gi-Oh!'s rivals are fantastic. I really like Jack Atlas. I think he's amazing, and I think that's one of the reasons I put Declan so low, is when you compare him to other Yu-Gi-Oh! Rivals, he falls short. And I think very highly of Jack Atlas, and I'm glad I remembered him because I forgot Yusuke last time. Or not Yusuke, I forgot Yusei last time. And I was very upset about that when I thought about it because I really like Yusei. So, yeah, Jack Atlas. Grimmjow, I mean, the issue with Grimmjow is Grimmjow died. Like, he got written out, and then he came back in the last arc to do nothing. He had no real role at the end of the series. Like he showed up, he killed Askin, and then what? What was the point after that? Like he killed Askin, and then what? I don't know. I don't think anybody knows. I mean, I imagine that Kubo had a plan. I know his issues with his shoulder was a problem, so I'm not gonna give him much for shit because the fact that he stuck through it for so long, and you can tell he definitely wanted to end. He could because he could have ended Bleach at any time. I think he still wanted to get it out to get an ending that he thought he was at least satisfied with, and I'm hoping they extend out some stuff in the anime. But like, I don't know. I don't know. Grimjow is like a weird spot, at least in my opinion. Akno can take him. Who's underestimating One Piece? I don't know. Why you guys really underestimate One Piece? In what power levels? One Piece's power levels have fallen behind a lot, and in comparison to like a lot of other big shonens, like big battle ones. All right, so as I've just mentioned, Yu-Gi-Oh has solid as hell rivals. And in my opinion, this is my opinion, I think, and this is going to be a bold move, I think Kaiba is the best rival in anime and manga. I think Kaiba is so amazing as a opposing character to Yugi and Atem. Absolutely fantastic. Kaiba's design is great. His backstory is great. Both his dub and his sub voice actor are great. Even going between the change in dialogue between the sub, the dub, and the manga is fantastic. Like the manga and the anime have a lot more vicious. Like they get a lot more vicious. Like obviously the manga has a lot more violence. In the anime, Kaiba has a lot more leeway with, in this Japanese version, Kaiba can be a lot more brutal when it comes to, like, what he says, because obviously the dub, was on 4Kids and stuff, but even in 4Kids, on a show that edited out guns to where, like, Pegasus's guards were pointing at Kaiba when they broke into his office, he still manages to be a damn savage when he shit-talks people, when he brutally just and verbally demeans anybody that gets in his way. The fact that his presence lived on 2 series later. When it came to Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, Kaiba had more influence in GX than Yugi did. Because Yugi was known, he was the king of games and stuff, but Kaiba started the schools. Kaiba was seen more. Kaiba Corp was still in Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. Everything about Kaiba's character is fantastic. And his rivalry, literally, the rivalry between the Priest Seto and Atem transcends time and space. They literally will once they die, they will be reborn and eventually meet and become rivals. Kaiba took an ancient Egyptian artifact, combined it with technology like that was beyond what normal human mental capability at the time had, because he's such a damn genius, that he went to the ancient Egyptian afterlife to challenge his rival to a card game. Kaiba is fantastic. And there's never a single point in Yu-Gi-Oh! Ever. There's not one point in Yu-Gi-Oh! Ever where Yugi is not pushed by Kaiba. There's never a point where Kaiba is made out to be a chump in comparison to the main character. There's never a point where Kaiba is made as somebody that Yugi can just be like, oh yeah, I can defeat him real easy. Even you could give Yugi all five. You give Yugi all 3 Egyptian gods, put him against Kaiba. Kaiba will have a strategy to still push him to his limit. Kaiba is fantastic. Everything about Kaiba is great. Seto Kaiba is amazing. He is, in my opinion, the top tier rival in general. I love Kaiba. Kaiba's character, in my opinion, is the greatest rival in one in Shonen. I think he's one of the best in general. Seto Kaiba's character is fantastic. He's amazing. And anybody that argues against it either hasn't watched Yu-Gi-Oh! Or read it, but Kaiba is damn fantastic. Even in parts and and especially when you watch Dark Side of Dimensions, like Kaiba is absurdly amazing. And then when you get into like the fact that his whole personality, like it stems, like there's so much that stems around his obsession with just being at the top from somebody who came from nothing. He was an orphan who, he was an orphan that rose to essentially the top of the world. And the one thing that he wasn't the best at was a card game that he loved. And the only person that was better than him was this happy-go-lucky guy who, he just grew up and he went to school and he got bullied a bit. Kaiba's is so excellent of a character. I love Kaiba. Kaiba is such a good character. Oh my god. So Killua. Let's move on to Killua. Killua is what I wish Hiei was. So, and what I mean by that is, like, I like both of their designs. I think they have cool powers. I like their interactions between the main characters. But I think Killua has what Hiei had, but better. I think Killua is like a better version of Hiei. I think his character is generally just better, and I don't really think there's anything that he really has other than maybe like certain influence. Like there's obviously like a lot of mangaka that really liked Hiei, like obviously Tabata. Like Tabata said that his favorite his favorite character in Shonen Jump was Hiei. Like there's a lot of characters that love Hiei, and obviously you get characters like Levi influenced from Hiei and stuff. Hiei is very popular. He's still really popular, and Yu Yu Hakusho, like I don't even what year did Yu Yu Hakusho end? Like 95, 96? Like, yeah, Killua. I think Killua is a better version of Hiei. I think he's just a better version of him. Like, he's that same kind of short, like, super badass guy who has, like, some really nice... And his interactions with Gon are better. I'm not a fan of Gon, but I do like Killua. And I think Killua has a much better aspect because of the way he interacts with Gon. And even though I don't really like Gon, I like the way that Gon interacts with Killua. I like their character chemistry. I think it's interesting. I think it's done well. And it's similar to like Zatch Bell when you have like this kid who's like doing all this like crazy crazy story stuff. But then at the end of the day, you got to keep in mind he's a kid. And so you have like silly parts with Killua and Gon just doing kid stuff. And I like that. I mean, not like little kid stuff, but you know, just some of their interactions and the way that they kind of come off. I like Killua. I think he's a solid character. I think the only reason I wouldn't put him in S is because I'm not a huge Hunter x Hunter guy. I like him. I think he's solid. And I would give... I think one of the bigger things, in my opinion, is that it doesn't look like he's going to be around. I mean, his story, I don't know if it's going to go anywhere beyond this. Because not only is like he not in the current story right now with... was it Kurapika is like pretty much in the front line and stuff with like those princes. But, I mean, Hunter x Hunter is like... Hunter x Hunter is pretty much just like going to be in hiatus forever. There's been like a chapter, but it's like there hasn't been a new chapter in like 2 years, and I mean it's unfortunate, but I mean like even if we get to a part where Killua comes back, that's after the boat. That's probably not going to be for a good couple more years of chapters, but then it's going to move so slowly that I'm just not going to care. Megumi right now. If you haven't read Jujutsu Kaisen, I think Megumi is a really good character. I think Megumi's backstory, I think his power is really good. I think I think the way he interacts with the Yuji's pretty solid. I think their teamwork's pretty good. I actually like him more than Yuji, and I'm kind of wondering if he's secretly the main character, in some ways, because with right now what's going on in the story, there's the possibility that Yuji either won't be around for a while or what. Because you could honestly have Yuji just kind of be gone and make Megumi the main character, and I think a lot of people would be okay with it. But like, because like I've mentioned, Yuji's character, I think that he hasn't got nearly as much spotlight as a main character would have when we're 112 chapters in, because Akutami spent so long building up stuff with getting stuff with Megumi, because Megumi's character was important to kind of build with what was going on with his dad and whatnot, and the Zenin clan and everything. And then you had Satoru, so you had to like that. The whole influence of Satoru Gojo had to be hammered in. It had to be hammered in about like why he was such a big deal, and so you understood of why they focused the hell out of him, and they had to kind of seal him up. So, like Yuji just hasn't gotten. I don't think Yuji just hasn't gotten a lot of character like time yet, but Megumi has. I think Megumi is a solid. I'm thinking about B+. I'm gonna put him at B+. I think he's a solid B+. Oh, get out of the way, Crowe. Crowe, get out of the way. Anyway, let me sort this really quick. Yeah, that looks about good. I think he's got a very solid position, and I think he's teetering on A. I think the only thing right now that doesn't put him A is just we need more interactions with him and Yuji. I think personally. Let me scroll up really quick. Noelle isn't a rival. Yeah, Noelle's not the rival guild. Yeah, it looks like let's just let the discourse in the group in the stream chat. Next one, Musca. Musca's a little bit of a weird one because fell off a little bit in the last arc because he didn't progress as much. I don't think he progressed as much power level wise with some of the characters. So like when they got to that final battle, he didn't have some big trump card to pull out. But I don't think that was the point of what his big thing was in the final arc. And I think making Revolt was definitely his big ace in. I like Musca. I'm gonna put him at B. I think he's a solid B tier. I want to put him higher, but I think him falling off a little bit kind of hurt his chances at being higher up. Revolver, no brainer. I mean, Revolver. I want to put. Thinking a little bit. I think Revolver. I was gonna put him at S, but I think I'm gonna put him at A because I think Revolver as a singular character would be an S, but I think Revolver as a rival is an A because I don't think the chemistry between him and Playmaker was as heavy, but I think as a singular character he was really good. His deck is fantastic, his design is great, his character is great. I really like him. I really like that when they're talking about like his this is a small spoiler, not too much. Is when they're talking about like when he's talking about like all this justice and whatnot. And they're like, he's like, you've been breaking the law too, and what you've been doing. When are you gonna turn yourself into justice? And he's like, yes. As soon like everybody in my group, as soon as we are finished and we think that our goal is accomplished, we're going to turn ourselves over to the authorities. We've already decided this. I thought that was really surprising. I want to put him in. He's borderline S tier. The only thing I think that doesn't put him at S is the fact that I don't think that he has enough synergy with the main character to be kind of the rival, because I do think that is an important spot in the. It's like when the last week we did the main character ones, like the main character tier list. The main character position is important. Main character position is important. Rival, like being a rival, is important. Whether it's and it's different when it's like a heavy rival and kind of like a mild one, but I think the way that the core theme of the rival is like how their interactions are between the main character. Like you could have a straight rival like Kaiba, or you can have somebody who's kind of more like a sibling rival, kind of like Gray. Like Gray and Natsu like come off kind of more of like they're kind of almost just like brothers almost that just don't get along. They don't hate each other, but they just fight a lot over stuff. Boruto's dad's boyfriend is A tier, B tier. We'll see. Here he is, probably one of the most famous of all rivals. Definitely one of the most famous. We have Sasuke. Sasuke is a solid rival. Sasuke is a really solid rival. I think I think the thing that hurts him as a rival, though, when you really want to look at like his character overall, is the fact his goal kind of just kept changing constantly, but not in a way that I think was very positive. Not positive. Not in a way that I think was well built, because it just kind of seemed like after a short period of time, because over the overall story is one thing, but like when you think about Naruto, like part 2 of Naruto, and you see the time span of everything, you really see just like really the amount of time everything kind of happens in. It kind of is weird that like how much he would switch between his goals and whatnot. I don't know. Not weird, but just kind of it was a little bit odd. And I think that Sasuke is a solid pick. He's got a cool design. He's got cool powers. But I think he's a solid A tier. I'm gonna put him above. I'll put him next to Killua. I think he's a pretty solid pick. Who is Wendy? Wendy is a character from Fairy Tail. Wendy Marvel. She's a little dragon slayer. Lovely little gal. Very good character. He looks like Killua for some unknown reason. Nice, solid. I'm gonna move them next to each other. Let's put them up there. There we go. Better. Anyway, next up, Shark. Shark. I like Shark. I think he's a good character. He's got a cool deck. Hesitant at where I want to put him. I'm going to put Shark at B. I think Shark is a pretty fair character. I like his weird. He's got a really weird hairstyle, but that's really when you think of Yu-Gi-Oh, I think it fits, and I think he's a solid character. I like his design. I like his personality. I like his story. and I like his deck. I think his deck is just a solid. Like the shark theme is badass. The shark theme was badass. I like he has a nickname, and it's not the same as like Revolver, where it's a Revolvers is a alias because it all happens in Vrain. So you know you have your online alias. Sharks is just what people call him. I thought that was cool, and it was something that you could go with in the sub or the dub. So he's always Shark. Vegeta is S tier because he got his ass whooped. We're getting there. Suzaku. Suzaku's S tier. Let's be real. Suzaku is an S tier rival. And like Suzaku is somebody who either you like or you dislike because he, like after part 1, once you get into like R2, he starts to become such an asshole, and you can see him kind of like tearing away from like a lot of who he was just because of the events that happened in the first part. And I think that combined with his interactions with the Lelouch were fantastic. I really like Suzaku. I think Suzaku is a really solid character. I don't like him as much as I like Lelouch, but I think that I think his story of like how like kind of like dark he was starting to go made sense with like not only made sense with his character, but it was obviously what was intended. I really liked it. Kageyama from Haikyuu. I don't read Haikyuu. Isn't that about volleyball? I don't know. I don't read Haikyuu. Uryu is a rival. Uryu is like the closest thing I really think as a rival to Ichigo. Because like Grimmjow, I mean Grimmjow was like a arc rival, but like I mean like he came back in the 1,000-Year Blood War to do what? Nothing. Uryu was kind of built up because Uryu kind of felt more like a rival going into in general, like the start. So the start of the series, you had Uryu. Actually, I'm gonna get to the. Actually, no, I'm on Uryu. I was gonna be like, oh, let's wait till we get to Uryu. I'm on Uryu. Uryu, like at the start of the series, you had the Quincy, the enemy of the Soul Reaper, or Shinigami if you want. Yeah, I think Soul Reaper just is easier. The enemy to the Soul Reapers, the Quincy's. He's a ranged character who is more skill based, where Ichigo is like very instinctually based. And then you get into the Soul Society arc. I think he had a really good startup. I think his was really good. And I actually really liked Uryu in that one. I think it's when we got to like Waco Mundo. I think he should have got his own. I think he should have got a fight with one of the Espada. He should have got a 1v1. Being perfectly honest, that was one of the things I really don't like about the Waco Mundo. If not the only thing about the Waco Mundo that I don't like is that Renji and Uryu kind of got dicked over. That's the thing that every single time I rewatch, because I haven't reread Bleach in a long time, but I've rewatched Bleach probably a good twice in the last couple of years. But I think that them getting dicked over in that arc was unfortunate, and so that's one of the reasons that I was very happy to see Renji get to be a solid like badass in the 1,000-Year Blood War. But Uryu didn't like. Uryu was set up also furthering as like, oh, he's going to be the potential final opponent for Ichigo. He was at a time, but then obviously like he switched. But I think Uryu I think he has the best spot to really be the rival for him, at least in my opinion. At least in my opinion. Yeah, he kind of like fell off a little bit halfway. And like even because what did he even do in Execution? I don't think Uryu got to do anything. Renji at least got to beat Jackie and be a badass. So I'm trained to fight Aizen. But I don't know. That's one of the things that if I could change about Bleach, I think I would make Uryu. Like if I could change one character, like just a singular character, I would make Uryu way more relevant, way more prominent in the series. But I think he's a good character. I don't think he's great. I'm gonna put him at like a high B. I think he's a high B. In fact, no, yeah, it's high B. All right, next up, we got Vegeta. Vegeta is a character that either people love or they're like, meh. I don't think anybody hates Vegeta, which is interesting. Because either you love Vegeta or you're just like, I'm alright with him. I don't think there's anybody that, will you review chapter... yeah, I gotta get back to reviewing Record of Ragnarok. I gotta get back to that. I've been meaning to. There's that and one other series that I've been meaning to start reviewing. I've just been slacking on. I've been trying really hard to catch up on some stuff. Vegeta, yeah. I can't... Here's the thing about Vegeta. I'm gonna be very honest, and people are gonna be pissed off, and I understand they're gonna be pissed off. Vegeta as a singular character is good.
Vegeta as a rival, I don't like. I don't like Vegeta as Goku's rival, and I'm going to tell you why. Because every single time that you think Vegeta is going to get like some big spotlight, it's just him pretty much warming up the bad guy for Goku. Every single time. And I hate that. As a character, Vegeta has the best writing in Dragon Ball. Easily. Easily. Vegeta's come such a long way. He was he was this very arrogant prince that really was at the same time kind of like pissed off because he had to work for this guy who destroyed his planet, killed his father and everything. And then, he starts to kind of like push more into being an anti-hero. And then like I think everyone loves the part, where he hugged Trunks before sacrificing himself. But as a rival to Goku, I don't like Vegeta. Vegeta is really good. Because you have some of these characters who are like Bakugo. I think Bakugo has traits as a rival. I think he's got some good traits as a rival, but I don't like his rivalry when it comes to Deku. But Vegeta's rivalry with Goku, I don't like at all. Because it's not like, oh yeah, they don't get along or something. It's Vegeta every single time is treated just as he's a warm-up for Goku. He's like Goku's towel boy. And I hate that. I've hated that for a long time. Every single time, Vegeta does a power-up. Vegeta's very confident in himself. You think Vegeta's going to do something. Vegeta ends up letting the bad guy get stronger. Oh, well, Goku's ready to fight finally. Goku's going to just do it, be the good guy, and win. And it's just, I don't want to throw him in D tier. I'm putting him in C. Some people are going to be mad at me, but I believe it. The fact that he's still got some good parts, like he's still got good synergy. He's got good synergy with Goku. I won't deny that. He's got good synergy. They have good character interactions, but that's really it. When they're not doing something, when they're training, good stuff. They're having good training periods. But that's it. That's it. That's all Vegeta ever really gets as a rival. And the reason that is, I think anybody who actually Goku doesn't win. Well, that's because Goku always has some, like either another person helps him or does something. But really, Goku is the big force in it every single time. And Vegeta just becomes support. Vegeta becomes a towel boy. Vegeta becomes just somebody to kind of just be Goku's backup. But not in a way of like, yeah, we're teaming up. It'd be like if somebody was shooting a guy and you're like, oh, I'm in a firefight, me and this guy are shooting at each other, and you're like, oh, I need help. Vegeta comes up and gives Goku a magazine to reload his gun and then runs away. That's pretty much what Vegeta is. And I don't like that, but it's true. Yeah, he says that every time. They always say, oh, he surpassed Goku. Watch Goku in the next chapter like get a full Ultra Instinct or something. Just watch. It's not a bad thing. Like, I'm all right with Ultra Instinct. I think it's a cool power-up. But, like, it's going to be further making Vegeta look like a chump. And that's what I don't like. It makes me very upset. As a singular character, great. Vegeta's fantastic. If this was a singular character, I'd put Vegeta S-class. If this was purely on the characters themselves, I'd put Vegeta way higher up. But the rivalry is important in this. And I hate Goku and Vegeta's rivalry. I don't like Bakugo and Deku's rivalry. I hate Vegeta and Goku's rivalry. I don't like it. I think it doesn't work well. I think it constantly just makes Goku... It's literally every time. It's just so Goku can look better. And I don't like that. If it was every so often, but really, when was the last time Vegeta really got to have like a part where he was the big dog? Like when he beat Frieza with the blue power-up form, or the Super Saiyan Blue in the movie? That Goku ended up getting better than 5 seconds later. And that's another thing. Every single time that Vegeta gets a power-up, gets something new, Goku gets something better 5 seconds later. And it's something that's so consistent. People make memes. I saw a YouTube video where somebody did that. Where they did it was like Vegeta goes off and trains for some power-up. And Goku, it turns out like Goku goes and wishes from Shenron that Goku will always be like one power-up ahead of Vegeta. And that's why it is. It's such a constant meme that even Dragon Ball fans are aware of it, and I don't know. It upsets me because I like Vegeta as a character. I don't like him as a rival. I don't like his rival with Goku at all. Vegeta's Omni 6-pass fuse. Goku, if Vegeta could reveal, literally the next chapter, Vegeta could unlock Ultra Instinct, full Ultra Instinct. like the full version, and be fighting him, and then something happens where he goes out of it, and then Moro goes into like, oh, one more form or something. Then Goku will immediately unlock like Ultra Instinct 2. It'll happen. Anytime that Vegeta got that higher end version of the Blue God form, and then Goku got Ultra Instinct. I mean, not only that, Goku has 2 power-ups better than Vegeta. He's got the Ultra Instinct sign, and he's got full Ultra Instinct. Vegeta hasn't. It's unfortunate. Like, Vegeta just went off and trained and did this, he went to, was it Yard Rat? Is that how it's called? Yat Rat or something? He went off, he trained, he at a better degree than Goku did, and Goku's gonna surpass him in the next chapter. Vegeta losing, Joseph winning, I don't even know what he's saying. It's like Joseph winning every battle, and he got the show and shot. Blue Evolution, it's just, it's not that Goku is the one who always beats the main character, it's the fact that, because he's the main character. Like, if we looked at the main character list, yeah, the main character is usually going to beat the bad guy. There are times where, like, there's team-up fights or, some different variable. But generally, the main character is the one to be the finishing thing on the big bad guy of each arc. But it's the fact that every single time, Vegeta is just used as a tool to show, like, the bad guys are stronger, or Vegeta doing some arrogant thing. Like, what's his name? Moro just got another power-up for him. And it's the same thing of like what happened with Cell. And I'm just like, how does he never learn? And Vegeta has learned so much as a character, but when it comes to like fighting, like he somehow just doesn't seem to ever learn his lesson when it comes to like his opponents. I don't know. The one dislike is for Vegeta. I mean, I believe that. It's unfortunate, but it's true. Anyway, Wise. Wise is a solid character. I like Wise. I think he's got a lot of potential. He's not great. He's got a lot of potential. I use this one because I'm really hoping we go back to this hairstyle. I do like this hairstyle. I think it looks pretty cool. But I'm just going to be straightforward with him. I'm putting straight into B. Well, actually, you know what? Yeah, I think he's a high B. I think he's high B right now. I think he's the highest B right now out of everyone. I think he's B, borderline A. I think he could easily go up in A. Maybe the next arc he'll be an A. I think right now all we really need to put him into A is a couple more parts of like plot, like during events like battles and stuff, interactions with Shiki, and just getting some more stuff. In general, like design, powers and stuff, like his Arsenal suit, I think alone, if we were just doing characters, the Arsenal suit alone would put him in A if it was just the characters. If it was just the characters, I'd put him in A alone just for the Arsenal suit. Arsenal suit's fantastic. Wise is the rival. He is absolutely. He's the rival character. It's not Jin. Jin is in the same category as Gajil and Let. Wise is in the same category as Musica and Gray. He is the rival. Every rival is based off of Vegeta. No, they're not. Are you kidding me? If they were all based off Vegeta, they'd all just be like every fight. They would just be them getting beaten up, and then the good guy like the main character would come in and say, don't give me that. Absolutely not. Okay. Rolling into one I think that everyone knows I've got some words for. And that's Yuno. Yuno is the opposite of some of the of somebody like maybe not the full opposite. I think he is the opposite in some aspects to maybe to Bakugo. In terms of the personalities, I like Bakugo as a singular character more than Yuno. But Yuno has a fantastic rivalry. Yuno's rivalry is fantastic. No one's going to deny that. Yuno, I mean, the easiest way I can describe it is Yuno has more respect for Asta than Asta has in himself. They are so polar opposites of each other, yet they work so well together. They have such great interactions. They're so genuine and feel so real that Yuno is on a fast track to becoming. Yuno is about in the same area with Gray, like in my opinion. That Gray, I think Gray will end up being GOAT for me, and I think so will Yuno. I think theirs is just time, and when they get there, I think they're gonna be like. I don't think it'll be long for Gray, and I think Yuno probably like after the Spade War, or maybe like getting close, like further in, like anywhere really further in the series. I think Yuno will be great. Yuno. So here's the thing. Here's the thing about the characters. All right, let me be very real. As singular characters, Asta and Yuno are not nearly as progressed as someone like Bakugo and Deku. But the reason that is Tabata is spreading it out much further throughout the series. Because he said that he's fully fine with going as long as Naruto or One Piece. So he's, in his head, he's got an idea of where to go for another 500 plus chapters. And it's not the same as someone like Deku and Bakugo, who their development as individuals is way more easily noticed because of, Deku was a coward, and well, he wasn't a coward. He was a bit of a pansy. He was a little bit of a crybaby, and like, look at him now. Same thing with Bakugo. Bakugo's is still developed somewhat. Like, he's got some fair character development, but Yuno and Asta are like, after the time skip, we've already seen Asta already have some pretty good development. We've seen like parts where his characters are pretty well developed even before the time skip. And I think that the whole stuff with Xenon and the Golden Dawn and finding about his past is where Yuno's character is going to start to really flourish. And it's a much different kind of setup when it comes to their characters, because Asta is, he's becoming way more kind of like set and ready, and Yuno is becoming more open. As we've seen, he, like, even when we saw early on, like before the stuff with the Spade, like before Xenon killed members of the Spade Kingdom, we saw that they were talking about Yuno was being more talkative and more friendly towards members of the Golden Dawn. Yuno was starting to really open up, because really when you look at Yuno versus Asta is a very loud, he's outgoing, he's very talkative, he really tries to interact with a lot of people. Yuno does not. Yuno is very quiet, he's very well kept, he doesn't interact with a lot of characters, which made it, in my opinion, one of the better rivalry traits for him is the way that he interacts and the way that he kind of comes out of his shell when it comes to Asta. And I really like that. That is a very good rivalry trait. I like that a lot. So when you look at him, slowly coming out of his shell makes sense. He was starting to interact with other members of the Golden Dawn, and he was starting to just become, in general, a much more comfortable person with those around him. And it's those things you have to look at as the development. You have to look at where the character starts and then like aspects about them that have changed. He doesn't have to be so drastically changed, but I think that he's developed a pretty good amount. But when it comes to his rivalry, fantastic. He's like the polar opposite to Asta in both personality, design, and power. And yet they work so well together. They've got such a good synergy between them. I think that it being anything below S class for a rival would be insulting. I think he's got a very high position that it's going to go really well once we get further into the series. Zebra. I'm going to be mad at myself. It pains me to do this, for real. And it's only because it's a rivalry tier list. If this was a solid character, if this was just character, I'd put him at least at B. I really like Zebra. I think Zebra's a really cool character, and he was kind of well, actually, what am I talking about? This should be Star June. I'm an idiot. This should be Star June. Star June was more of the rival for Toriko. What am I doing? Damn it. What's funny is when I thought of this last week, I thought Star June, because I was like, who's the rival for Toriko again? And then I remembered Star June. But for some reason, I went with Zebra. I actually don't know why I went with Zebra. I'm kind of confused on that now. But yeah, I'm a little upset that I did this. I'll leave him there. I'll just leave him there. Character-wise, he's a B. But I mean, like, Zebra is a badass, kind of like big thug, really fun character, but that's all there really is to him. He's a very likable guy, but there's not a whole lot to the development of his character. Zeke. I'll put him at B. Zeke is a good character, solo, but really Zeke's character, in contrast to Eren, is how Eren is, like, his position is always, like, his whole setup between him and Eren is always how Zeke is pretty much behind him. Zeke is pretty much always just behind Eren. The second he stopped getting cucked by Levi, he started getting cucked by Eren. I feel bad for him. He's got an interesting backstory. He's got a really cool personality. I like the Beast Titan, and the fact that because of baseball, like he pretty much became like this huge siege Titan who's just throwing rocks like freaking like artillery fire. But that was fantastic. Oh, where's Reiner? I debated whether or not it should be Reiner or Zeke, but I thought Zeke would be better of a choice. If it was Reiner, I'd probably put Reiner at A. If it's Reiner, it'd be A. I think Zeke is a solid B. As a singular character, I'd put Zeke at least at an A. Zeke would be an S if it wasn't for some parts of his story I think are a little silly. Like the fact his dad... I don't know if I've talked... I talked about it in the review back when... I stopped doing Attack on Titan reviews. I'll probably get back to them soon. The last couple chapters have just been really slow, and I haven't really been too intrigued enough to do chapters on. With Zeke, the whole fact that his backstory, when his dad was trying to train him for the military, it was all book smart stuff, because obviously Zeke is very intelligent. But then when it got to, like, actually trying out for the military, he was, like, way weaker than the other children. And I'm like, I don't know how much intelligence Grisha had to have in his head to not have somebody physically train to join the military. And this isn't like today's military. Listen, it depends on what branch you're in, because you can be in adequate shape and do like a desk job, be like a computer, be like an IT in the Navy or stuff. Or you can still find super fit IT people. You know what I mean? There's stuff that you have to be just absolute peak shape if you're going to be a Marine or a SEAL or something, some spec op crazy physical job, or you can have like a more tech job kind of like situation. Zeke was trying out to, I mean really, what is it, the military police? I think even the military police, and obviously he's not that wasn't his military that he was in, but like the Marley military, they were way more physical. They were more like straight army. So him not training physically to be in that was kind of weird. I don't know. I that was the thing that with him that I was like, how the fuck? All right, last guy, last dude, Zorro Noah. Zorro has some nice interactions with Luffy. He's got a cool design. I haven't been too keen on some of the stuff with him lately, but I think he'll the things that I have been wanting for his character, I've got my fingers crossed that we'll deliver once we get into this big main battle. I think once we get into the main, the thing is why I didn't pick. I don't really see Law as his rival. Law is more of like, if you compared it, like if this was Fairy Tail, Law would be like their Jalal. To me, he has that similar kind of vibe and position. And Kid, if Eustace was relevant more, if he actually got to be more in the series, then I would have probably put him as a rival. No, Zorro is more closely to I think he's more closely to the Luffy's rival. Sanji's rival is relevancy. Like, Zorro, I think the things I want from Zorro will be delivered hopefully in this big battle on Kaido's Island. But as a character, I don't find Zorro very interesting. He's kind of like Zebra, that he's badass, but that's about it. And people are gonna be mad at me. I'm at C. Don't care. If this was a singular character thing, I'd put him a little higher up. I'd put him maybe at B. I've never been a huge fan of Zorro. I think he's cool, but again, he's like Zebra. Zebra and Zorro are both badass, but there's not a ton of stuff beyond that. There's not a ton, and especially when you have a series that's over almost 1,000 chapters. That's it. That's it. When you have almost 1,000 chapters, and that's like, I don't know, I don't find Zorro overall very intriguing. But yeah. Well, are you a Sanji fan? I used to be a Sanji fan until the time skip happened, and then he became like an irrelevant fodder character. Frankie pretty much took over his spot. I mean, really, when you think of the monster trio now, it's either Luffy, Zorro, and Law, or Luffy, Zorro, and Frankie. Probably Law. Like, Law has had more spotlight Law has had so much more spotlight in the time skip than Sanji. It's shocking. Like, I don't know. Sanji literally is a well-dressed Yamcha. He's like, you have part 1 where Yamcha still got to do stuff and he was still relevant. He wasn't like some big deal, but he's still able to hold his own. That's how Sanji was. And then the time skip, Raid Suit Sanji. Who did what? Raid Suit Sanji is one of the dumbest power-ups It looks cool. It has a terrible ability. Think about this. Sanji had no real good wins since the time skip. Luffy got 4th gear, then he developed, he got the advanced observation haki. Now he's got the advanced armament haki. He got Snake Man. And they've beaten pretty big opponents, and so is Zoro. Zoro's beaten some pretty big opponents without even using Ashura, which is one of the reasons I feel like Ashura is kind of go the ways of kind of like Gray's Ice Make Unlimited. It was a thing that kind of happened, and then it's just like, I don't know if I want to use it, because Ashura is like one of the power-ups in One Piece I don't think makes really any sense at all, because like Sanji's Diablo Jambe makes sense. It's just heat and friction that he's got going on in his leg. So it's not like he's just, oh, I'm on fire now. It's like, yeah, he found a method to make his leg super hot. So Whole Cake Island apparently doesn't exist. Sanji, here's the thing. Whole Cake Island, Sanji's memory got pulled out by Pudding. And a lot of the stuff that would have been interesting, pulled out. Cool, he made a cake. There was a backstory of this where his dad abused him. And then he's like, I'm not going to use this raid suit because of, what it represents. And then he uses it into Wano. Yeah, he beat Page 1 off panel. He beat him off panel. Oda couldn't even give him 1 chapter. 1 chapter. But think about this, like I said, Luffy got all these power-ups. Zoro's pretty much ran through all his opponents. And on top of Zoro running through his opponents in the time skip, he got a new sword that power-wise he didn't need. He got a upgrade when he didn't need one. He got a big fancy upgrade with the Enma sword. And when you look at that, he's essentially gonna have a sword that will always have Haki on it. He's actually gonna have, well, no, because he had to get rid of the other one, right? He had to get rid of the other one, so he's gonna make his own Black Blade, and he's gonna always have a Haki sword. So he's always gonna have a sword that will be able to damage, will always be able to damage Logias. And Sanji got a suit that turns him invisible that should be irrelevant if the person he's fighting has observation Haki. If somebody has observation Haki, what is the point of Sanji's invisibility? Hell from Death Note? I haven't read or watched Death Note in a long time, so my memory of Death Note is... I was never a huge... When it came down to it, because there's always that rivalry. There's always a rival series. When it came down to Death Note and Code Geass, I was always a Code Geass guy. Like, Charlotte Katakuri is the best character in One Piece. I wish that if Katakuri got more time, I would have put Katakuri as the rival to Luffy. If he comes back, because he potentially, I think, can be the rival to Luffy. If he shows up in Wano and does some stuff, I think that he has a better spot to be Luffy's rival than Eustace. Because he essentially, because with them, it'll essentially be Roger and Whitebeard, right? Even size-wise. Whereas Dio, I forgot Dio. I should have put Cars on there. Well, to be fair, I've only gotten through parts 1 through 3 of JoJo, so I know Dio comes back. So I also it's also good that I didn't put him on here because I don't know the full extent of Dio. I've only read parts 1 through 3 of JoJo. I haven't got through part 4 or beyond yet. I figured observation Haki is activation based. Yeah, but you can just activate it. The second you get kicked by somebody, you're gonna be like, oh shit, I better turn on observation Haki to see him. Where I wish Oda went is Luffy didn't. So I wish that Luffy didn't get advanced observation or armament Haki. I wish Luffy got awakening during his fight with Katakuri, and then Katakuri later trains with Luffy so Luffy can get awakening. Like they have Katakuri maybe respects Luffy and they become rivals. Like I said, and I wish that Zoro got advanced observation Haki because I think it would have been better on a swordsman. And then, because it would have been cool if he could always kind of like predict someone's movements and then, get a counter slash. And Sanji should have gotten advanced armament Haki so his kicks did way more damage. Because think about like when he tried to fight Virgo and he kicked into Virgo's armament Haki and it pretty much cracked his leg. But imagine that, but if his was reinforced with armament Haki, and if he had that whole advanced armament Haki where it said screws to your armor and went and did internal damage. I couldn't really think of who Tanjiro's rival would really be. I didn't really have a rival for him. Anyway, Anyway, this has been about 2 hours. I thank everyone for showing up. Thank you again to Kimano for going as crazy as usual when it comes to your super chats, man. If you want to, I'll talk to him, see if he wants to do another tier list, or if he wants maybe to do maybe something like character analysis video, or what his hopes are. But yeah. What did Nuck say? I mean, Katakuri wasn't a villain. I don't think he was a villain, because from his perspective, he was doing the right thing. From his perspective, he was doing a good thing. And plus, Luffy isn't a protagonist, but he's a pirate. He's a criminal. So when you really look at it, they're both pirates. So the good guy is really from the perspective of each guy. At that point, Katakuri was doing good on his part. Luffy was doing his thing as well. Kumagawa is S tier. I should have put Kumagawa in here. I would have definitely put Kumagawa at A or S. Anyway, yeah, so I'm going to, that's it for this stream. We'll do, like I said, we'll do a stream on Friday. We'll do a normal stream on Friday and kind of just talk and see how things are going, and we'll discuss. We'll just have a nice general discussion. We'll do a standard stream. We'll have more conversation. I know I didn't read a ton of the comments in this one because I didn't want to ramble on. If I rambled on, it would have been. If I read the comments, it would have been a good plus hour into this. And then this has already gone a little bit more than what I wanted. I wanted it to be about an hour and a half, but 2 hours is pretty solid. But anyway, thanks everyone for showing up. I appreciate you guys coming out, and look forward to the next one. I think the next we got Ida and Zero, and we got Fairy Tail this week, so look forward to that. Normal chapter week this week, so or next week. Oh yeah, no, it's Sunday. So yeah, it's next week because it's always the first day of the week and Sundays. Anyway, yeah, next week normal chapters and whatnot. I think Black Clover's anime is coming back soon. Anyway, other than that, no, comment below. And comment below? This isn't a video. This is a stream. Anyway, yeah. Anyway, yeah, I'm rambling. I do that. Appreciate everyone for showing up, and I'll talk to you guys in the next stream.